Na 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 na. Hey YouTube, welcome back to another exciting episode of Vin Plays Fantasy Football. This is the week 4 starter episode, and oh boy, is there a lot of news in the NFL today. The big news is that the Titans and Steelers game is going to be postponed. So, any of you guys who have those players, there's no Derrick Henry, no James Conner, no Corey Davis. If you've been starting Corey Davis in place of AJ Brown, yeah, no Ben Roethlisberger. None of those guys are playing this week. It's really tough for a lot of players, a lot of managers. I did make provisions for that by adding extra bench spots. I added 2 extra bench spots and 2 IR spots, and we're mercifully what's the word? We're not a part of the suspension. We do not have any of those players in this league, thankfully. Well, thankfully, not thankfully. It's a tough break for anybody who does have those players. And I actually do have Derrick Henry and James Conner in a couple of my other leagues that I play in. That being said, let's go ahead and go over our starters for this week and my considerations considering my matchup with my opponent. First, let's go from the bottom up, actually. I was really surprised coming from our waiver wire period that my minimum bids were paid off. I actually put in a $3 bid for Justin Jefferson, thinking that I would easily get outbid by somebody who wanted to give up like five fab or more, but we ended up getting him. So I suppose nobody else in this, or not as many managers in my league, are as high on Justin Jefferson as the rest of the league. Look there, he's 77% owned. So, and a $3 bid isn't very high at all. So I also made a $1 bid, if you recall, for the Los Angeles Rams. I almost said Chargers. The Los Angeles Rams, because of their matchup against New York. I discussed that in last episode. Yeah, I'm expecting good things from that defense this time around. And speaking of Rams, we did pick up Jared Goff again for 1 fab. Just because, again, Gardner Minshew, all his weapons are not healthy right now. DJ Chark isn't. Well, it's still kind of a coin flip whether or not he will play or not. He is back at practice though today. Today is Thursday, so he had a limited practice on Thursday. So there's a good chance that he could play. And crossing my fingers that he does play, because I do have DJ Chark in another league that I'm in. But going over this league, I think that's pretty much all the guys that I picked up from here. Speaking of Goff, though, somebody recently, I put in a waiver claim because somebody in my league dropped Matt Ryan. They ended up dropping Matt Ryan for a wide receiver. I believe it was Brandon Ayuk. So right now, Matt Ryan, yeah, it's the way that team is. Julio Jones is bound to be back soon, hopefully. Knock on wood. When Julio Jones gets back, then Matt Ryan, that offense, they're always behind, they're always throwing. So right now I have a tentative bid for 10 fab, $10. I think waivers will run on Saturday, so we'll see if we get them. I might adjust that bid. I might bring it higher or lower depending on how I feel. I'll need to look at how bad Julio seems to be hurt right now. But right now, yeah, I'm putting in a bid for Matt Ryan, and yeah, it makes me kind of sad that I spent my dollar of fab on Jared Goff. But yeah, Matt Ryans don't fall from the sky very often, so we need to jump on that. Particularly since going into our starters, Aaron Rodgers, nothing bad happened to Aaron Rodgers except that Allen Lazard now had surgery today for some sort of core injury. Is from what I read is what his ailment was. It came out of nowhere. I didn't read anything or see any news on it prior, but apparently he had some surgery on I guess some stomach muscles, and he's going to be out for multiple weeks. on Roto World, I believe they said that it wouldn't be surprising for him to land on IR. Hopefully, it'll be the short-term IR, the 3-game IR that is. But yeah, without Allen Lazard, the Green Bay Packers, that wide receiver core is thin as is, even with Allen Lazard. So it's like Aaron Rodgers. He's been balling out. He's been playing so well this year. I still have faith in Aaron Rodgers, but without another one of his weapons gone, without one of his weapons, and hopefully Devontae Adams will be back this week. Devontae Adams, actually, good news is good for Devontae Adams. He did return to practice, so yeah, there's hope that he will play. We're optimistic that he will play this week. So yeah, having Devontae Adams back is great for our team and for Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers, without one of his weapons, when that receiving core is already so thin, he'll probably have to lean on some of his tight ends like Tanyan and Steinberger. Steinberger caught his first touchdown last game, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it goes well, but that does give us a little bit more urgency to pick up Matt Ryan. Just in case things don't pan out with Aaron Rodgers, things are a little bit more up in the air as to, like, my confidence isn't as high now as to whether or not I could start him week to week. He might turn into a streaming option again if his weapons get too depleted. But we still have Robert Woods in there. He should smash in this spot. He's playing up against New York Giants. I almost said the New York Jets. I'm actually watching the Jets game right now, and the Jets do not look good. But that's neither here nor there. Robert Wood should smash against the Giants, and he is, of course, Mr. Reliable. Oops, didn't mean to go across like that. But he is Mr. Reliable, so he is in our lineup. Allen Robinson, Indiana's defense is kind of pretty good. I want to say they're above average as far as what I've read. But Allen Robinson, we're going to leave him in our lineup, particularly since Nick Foles is the starter now. He's been named the starter, so Allen Robinson, I'm a believer in Allen Robinson now, perennially. Maybe not perennially, but at least weekly now. He's going to be in our lineups. As long as he's healthy, he's going to be in our lineups. So there's nothing more to say about Allen Robinson. Josh Jacobs, again, Buffalo, that's a tough defense. But he was our number one or number two pick. Actually, I think Devontae Adams was our number one pick, but he was definitely our number two pick. And you never sit your number two pick regardless of the matchups. We do have tempered expectations on him though, so yeah, he is in our lineup. Oh, here's a big question mark. Chris Carson, he was expected to miss at least a week or two, but he did return to practice here. He practiced. I think he practiced yesterday too. I think he practiced yesterday and today at a limited basis. That is. So there's a really good shot that he plays this week. We probably need to temper expectations with him as well, because if he's not 100%, then he will probably split more of the work with Carlos Hyde and Homer. I forget his first name, but their other running back Homer on that squad. Mike Gesicki, they're playing Seattle. Seattle is awful against pass catchers this year, wide receivers, any tight ends, any pass catcher. Like just watching those games against the Falcons and Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, their defense definitely is far removed, is very, very far, worlds away removed from the Legion of Boom. So play everybody on offense against Seattle. And that's what I'm doing with Mike Gesicki. And then we already discussed Devontae Adams here. I really expect him to play. If he does not play, though, we will probably plug in Marquise Brown again. He does have a lot better matchup this time around versus that game against Kansas City, because The Baltimore Ravens, they just got destroyed by Kansas City last Monday. But I'd feel better about starting him this week against Washington. The same thing with Chris Carson. If Chris Carson is a no-go, then we will be forced to play Antonio Gibson against Baltimore, which is not the greatest matchup. I really don't feel great about it. But looking at our waiver wire, there's really nobody else that I could pick up that I'd feel more comfortable than Antonio Gibson this week. I think we could pivot to Adrian Peterson, but yeah, I think I'd prefer to, yeah, Adrian Peterson or Frank Gore is playing tonight. How is Frank Gore doing tonight? Could have we pivoted to Frank Gore? Okay, he's getting 3 points tonight. Yeah, that wouldn't have been a good play. So yeah, those are pretty much the only guys that we could pivot to. Probably Adrian Peterson if we didn't have Antonio Gibson, or would be an alternate to Antonio Gibson. But yeah, so we'd have to run with Gibson if Carson is not a go this week, this Sunday. And so let's go ahead and take a peek at our matchup. We are playing Royal Roto Rooters here. He is starting Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, that is a good matchup for him, and he he does look good. He does look legit. He is a franchise quarterback. I'm kind of kicking myself for dropping him early on after week 1. We did draft Joe Burrow, but yeah, we ended up I forget why, but we ended up dropping him for other players. I might have dropped him for Minshew actually. DK Metcalf, DK Metcalf has been scary on the Fantasy Footballers, my favorite podcast, fantasy football podcast that I listen to. A stat I think was brought up that DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are within the top 5 wide receivers for the year so far, and that's just a testament to how well that Russell Wilson is playing this year. And and not only that, but DK Metcalf is a solid player as well. But that offense on Seattle is just playing lights out right now, and it's crazy that Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf top 5. It's like during the draft season, during the off season. If anybody would have told you that, everybody would have been. If you would have told people that during the off season, then they would have thought that you were drunk or you were high on something. But yeah, DK Metcalf is a scary prospect against Miami. But opposite Allen Robinson and even Devontae Adams against Atlanta, that's again, I forgot to bring up that matchup. Devontae Adams at Atlanta, or Green Bay in general at Atlanta. Atlanta is a smash spot for more or less all offensive players. So yeah, looking at our matchup with Devontae Adams versus DK Metcalf, I'm not feeling too worried there. Robbie Anderson, Robbie Anderson has been overachieving this year, but that Carolina team isn't all that great, and I'll take my wide receivers against that every day. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is really good. Edwards-Helaire is scary. They are playing New England though, so New England's defense is legit. They're not quite as good as they were last year, but they are good. So tempered expectations there. We're not so worried about them. Kenyon Drake is at a smash spot against Carolina though. That guy is going to be worrisome this week. Darren Waller, he is playing Buffalo. I actually do have Darren Waller in a couple of my other leagues, and he was taken away. Yeah, New England totally shut him down when they played. Was it last week or the week before? I don't recall, but when Darren Waller can be taken away by good defenses. So, yeah, against Buffalo, tempered expectations there. Not too worried in this matchup, but Darren Waller is a great player, so he could very easily rise to the occasion as well. We'll just have to see what happens. Jonathan Taylor, the breakout rookie sensation this year. Who would have known that Marlon Mack wasn't long for the NFL, or for this season anyways. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor is kind of scary. But against Chicago has a good run defense. Their secondary isn't all that great. You could pass on them, but their run defense is pretty solid. So, well, hopefully they could slow them down a bit. And then kickers, Robert Gold, and Seattle defense. Ooh, really? Starting the Seattle defense. I'm not so sure. Have they performed well at all this year? Okay, I guess against Dallas. They did have some turnovers against Dallas, I believe. But I guess if he's rolling with Seattle defense, I feel good about that. I definitely feel good about that matchup if he's rolling with Seattle defense. But I think that pretty much covered our matchup and our starters here. So thanks again for watching another episode of Vin Plays Fantasy Football, and I'll see you next time.